Hi, my name is Jake, and I am a bookish drummer. So in my previous video, I talked about my 3-star predictions, books that I predict that I will give 3 stars, books that I don't think will be all-time favorites for me, books that I probably will feel indifferent about. In this video, I'm going to be talking about books that I predict I will give 4 stars to. So they won't be mediocre, they won't be all-time favorites, they'll be pretty good or even very good reads for me. So it's not quite as dumb as 3-star predictions, but it's not quite as good as 5-star predictions, because a lot of people make 5-star prediction videos, but I've never seen, well, I have 2 3-star prediction videos now. I don't think I've ever seen a 4-star prediction video, so we're breaking new ground here, people. 4-star prediction videos. Let's go. Again, this is not going to happen. Anyway, enough of the preamble. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Let's go ahead and start out with a childhood favorite. Now, when I was in elementary school, I was a big-time avid reader, and one of my favorite book series to read was the Redwall series by Brian Jacques. I think actually there's a weird way to pronounce his name. I don't know. Anyway, Redwall series. I loved this series as a kid, and I've kind of gotten the nostalgia bug to try to reread the series and see how it holds up as an adult, because I've heard it does hold up pretty well reading it as an adult. So next year, probably starting in January, I'm going to start with Redwall and just read one book a month and see how they hold up. Now, do I think it's going to be like all-time favorites for me as an adult? Probably not, but I do suspect that the nostalgia factor will kick in, and I'm going to be kind of reliving some moments that I've forgotten about over the years, because I haven't read these books in such a long time. So I think I will enjoy myself, but they're not going to be like on the levels of my all-time favorites. So probably, 4-star books. It'll be pretty good. Speaking of fantasy books that I'm going to be reading in January, one book is Green Rider by Kristen Britton. And I'm going to be buddy reading this with a bunch of people. I know Josephine, Andrew, maybe Kate, Stacy. I think there's a bunch of people who are going to read this in January. And honestly, all I know is that it's kind of not an older fantasy book per se, but I think it's like late 90s, early 2000s or so. And I've heard pretty good things about it. But generally with like first books in series, I generally don't give them 5 stars because I know that there's going to be room for improvement. Now, I could give this 5 stars and I could absolutely love this. But what I'm thinking is that it'll be more of a 4-star read. I'll be impressed with it. I'll be impressed with the characters and the writing. But maybe it's not like a stellar all-time favorite for me either. So I think this will be a solid 4-star read for me. Speaking of Stacy, my very good friend Stacy, who you can find on many Discord sites, she sent me some early birthday presents, and it was very kind of her to do so. And she sent me Taylor Jenkins Reid's One True Loves and Pierce Brown's Golden Sun. And if you're familiar with my channel, you know that I love Taylor Jenkins Reid and that I've given all of her books 5 stars. So you're probably wondering why I would only predict 4 stars for this book. Well, out of the 3 books that I haven't read by her, reading the synopses for all of them, this definitely sounds like the least appealing, or maybe the one that I would be most likely to not give 5 stars. But definitely there's a possibility that I'm going to give this book 5 stars, because Like, I've read 4 of her books, and they've all been stellar reads for me. So definitely this has a very good chance of becoming a new favorite of mine, a 5-star read. But the premise and the things that I've heard about it from people such as Stacy, I think this has the possibility of being my least favorite from her. So I'm going to go ahead and just predict 4 stars. And then if you saw my previous video, 3-star predictions, you saw that I predicted Red Rising by Pierce Brown to be 3 stars. But I'm hoping that the second book, Golden Sun, will be an improvement. Well, I think it will be a vast improvement. I don't know, but I do think it will improve. And from what I've heard, can't talk today. From what I've heard, this is a lot of people's favorite in the series. So I do predict that I will like it more than Red Rising. Will I absolutely love it? I don't know. But I've heard that it's very action-packed and that a bunch of crazy stuff happens. And I love when crazy stuff happens in books. Like the Themis Files just is nonstop like craziness. And you're like, what the hell is going on? So if it's anything like that, I think I will very much enjoy this book. Will it be an all-time favorite? It could be, but I'm going to predict 4 stars for this one. Another sci-fi book that I think I'll probably give 4 stars to is A Desolation Called Peace by Arcada Martine. And I read the first book. This is a duology. The first book is A Memory Called Empire, and I definitely loved that book. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I really loved the world building and all of the details that she sprinkled out through that first book. And the mystery aspect of it was pretty good as well. For this book, I don't necessarily think I'll give it 5 stars because I think it's supposed to be more action-packed, whereas the first book I loved because it was a little slower, and I really loved the main character and just her figuring out everything on this kind of weird, like, different planet and society that she was involved in was really cool. This one I think is supposed to be more action-packed, and I don't know if that's what I'm looking for in this kind of series or duology, but we'll see. Like with all of these books definitely have the potential to be 5 stars. But what I'm predicting is 4 stars. But like with the 3-star predictions, hopefully I'm wrong. And hopefully this is 5 stars. Like I pointed out with Green Rider, for first books in fantasy series, more than likely I'm probably going to give it 4 stars. So with these next couple of books, that's probably what I'm predicting. The first book is The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden. And Evie from She Was Only Evie will be doing a read-along for this starting in December. And this is the book we're reading in December. From what I've heard, it's very atmospheric, very character-driven, not a lot of plot necessarily. So we'll see if I enjoy that or not. I do think it will be enjoyable, but I don't think it'll be an all-time favorite. From what I've heard, books 2 and 3 are a vast improvement on the first book. While this is a good book, I've heard that those 2 books are excellent. So I'm hoping to enjoy this and then jump into books 2 and 3 in January and February and absolutely love them. But for this book, I'm predicting 4 stars. Kind of the same thing applies to this series, Traitor's Blade, which is the first book in the Greatcoat series by Sebastian de Castell. I think, from what I've heard, that this book will have some problems and some issues that I won't necessarily get behind, and I'll definitely look at those as flaws. But I do think overall this will be a very enjoyable read for me, and again, from what I've heard, books 2, 3, and 4 are a vast improvement on the first book. So I think this book will more than likely be more like a 4-star read. And as I continue with the series, I'll enjoy it even more and more. And And the last book I have to talk about today is a book that I actually won over on Andrew's Wizardly Discord. There's a Guess the Book challenge, and I participated in that, and they spun a wheel, and I won, which is crazy because I never win anything in my life. I don't know about y'all, but like contests and like drawings, like I never win. So I was very surprised when I won. And Patrick, who's one of the runners of the Guest Book Challenge, I sent him my wish list, and I just told him to randomly pick a book. And he sent me The Dark That Dwells by Matt Digman and Ryan Roddy. And from what I've heard of this book, I think this book will be very fun, very entertaining, and just overall, it'll be a feel-good book, and it'll have a lot of interesting ideas, but it won't necessarily be an all-time favorite for me. I've heard that this book reads and feels almost like a video game, and to be honest, I'm not a huge gamer, and the video games that I used to play when I was younger was more like Rock Band and Guitar Hero, and so I'm not big on video games, so a book that feels like a video game might not appeal to me, but also like the ideas and just random stuff that I've heard are in this book just sounds super awesome and interesting. So I think it'll be a weird mix of like things that I love and things that I don't necessarily love. So I think 4-star predictions is the perfect place for The Dark That Dwells. All right, so this concludes kind of my weird part 2 of this series where I predict what books I will be giving 4 stars. Let me know if there's any books that you predict you will give 4 stars. Maybe books that you think will be pretty good, but they won't be your all-time favorites, and you don't think they'll be mediocre either. You think you'll give them 4 stars. And again, this is probably a dumb idea, but I really like it, and I'm fairly confident that no one has done this before. Probably for good reason, but I'm a trailblazer. You dipshit. Anyway, my next video will actually be probably more appealing to everyone. They're books that I predict will be 5-star reads for me. I think they'll be new all-time favorites, and that video will probably have more appeal and probably get more views, which I probably should have just done that video, but oh well. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my YouTube channel and my Bookish Drummer Discord. Thank you so much for watching, and have a terrific day.